Welcome to episode 12 of the Progress Pod, and today we are joined by Kristian Hill, who is an absolute operator. I'm really excited to have him on the podcast, so I hope you enjoy. All right, Kristian, how are you doing, mate?
Not too bad, mate. Thanks very much for having me on. It's always the wee bit at the beginning where you're like, how are you? You've just spent the afternoon with the person, but mate, thanks very much for having me on. I'm doing good, man. How are you?
No, good, excellent, mate. Really looking forward to this. And just to start off with, mate, maybe just a wee intro to you for anyone that doesn't know.
Yeah, so I'm Kristian Hill and I'm actually Jordan's friend and coach. We've been working together now for 4 months coming up, but I actually knew Jordan before. I met you just through the sort of grapevine of the sort of world of Instagram and stuff, connecting to other like-minded coaches and stuff. But my sort of background, my story is that like I've been a coach for like 7 years, but I'm not just a coach. I think like when someone always asks you who you are, I try and go a wee bit deeper there. But I'm just someone that's like, I'm a very sort of, obviously I'm a bit of an average guy in the sense that like I wasn't athletic growing up or that. I wasn't someone that was quite shy and stuff as well. I wasn't pure popular, wasn't pure unpopular. I was just the wee grey man in the middle. And then basically I have always like loved doing things, the idea of doing hard, challenging things and stuff. And I served in the forces for a wee bit when I was younger, 17 to about, when did I leave the forces? And I was like 23, and that's when I became a coach. And I'm in year 7 of doing this now. And I run a fitness company a coaching company called Ready for Anything. And that's what Jordan's actually part of. So that's a wee brief history to me.
Yeah, definitely, mate. I was one of the main reasons I wanted to get you on was similar to me. I think we share a lot of the same values and the way we do things, and like yourself who's been taking on lots of big challenges lately, not to mention an Ironman recently, then one of the toughest physical challenges you can probably do with the Celtman. So I know you've spoken quite a bit about the Celtman recently. We've got an amazing vlog out, but just wanted to dive in a wee bit more into the Celtman, just first of all in terms of, for the listeners, what actually is the Celtman?
Yeah.
Like, why did you decide to do it, and how did you feel completing it?
So the Celtman is an extreme Scottish triathlon, and basically it's a 3.4k swim in an open sea lock, so it's quite cold. There's a lot of jellyfish and stuff in there as well. And then it's a 202k cycle, which is like 125 miles. And that's it's got about 8,000, 9,000 feet of elevation, I think it is. I can't remember. It was on the Strava. I think it was like 8,400 or something there or thereabouts. And then it's a marathon at the end, but it's got a lot of elevation in it. You run over mountains in it. There's 2 different routes for that. And it's like, for me, it was just a pipe dream for a long period of time, Jordan. It was something that was like in the back of my mind, and I actually said this in the vlog. It's like I was too scared to even say it out loud for a long period of time because the actual idea of doing this thing was so far away. But my sort of triathlon journey started only in like lockdown. I bought a bike, and then like literally just like a lot of folk did. And then I remember I went out and done a 100-mile cycle with my pal, and we were totally not equipped to do it, man. This is like literally like three years ago now, probably about 3 years about now. Yeah. And I was obviously still a fit dude and stuff like that, man. Like I obviously still had done a lot of things where I'd push myself, challenge myself and stuff, and I'd always been into running and that. But that kind of was like, it was almost the keys to the doors of like, you can do a triathlon now. And then I'd always loved the idea of doing like an Ironman. And then I signed up for an Ironman after that. Done that, but I couldn't swim, so I taught myself to swim in that for it as well. Then I've done a 70.3, and then it was almost like the next evolution was like the Celtman. So that was like the daddy as such. So that's what kind of led me to do it as well. I just always, it's funny because like I've done it now, and it's not that I don't think it was fucking hard, obviously, right? Yeah. But I'm just like, everybody can do it. Like, not, and I know that folk would go, no, they couldn't, right? But I'm like, well, if you've done the work, yeah, you could. And it's almost like I'm a bit like because obviously I've been on a lot of different podcasts speaking about it and stuff, and folk ask about it, and I love telling folk, but it's almost kind of like you're like, everyone's got it within them to do it. It's not that you have to do it, but like every single person has it within them to go and do stuff like this. And I think one of the best things about it is the amount of positive feedback I've had from it and how much it's actually influenced people is actually quite overwhelming. I knew it would have an impact, but it's like, it's got like, I know I'm not fucking viral on YouTube, it's got like nearly 10,000 views in like 12 days. And I had like 29 subscribers, and I'm like, how the hell has that done that? And but again, at the end of the day, it's I was fascinated by it. So if I was fascinated by it, lots of other people are going to be fascinated by it. So that's kind of why. And it, like, do you know what I mean? It was a big day out, so it was good.
Yeah, and I think some of the stories from it as well, mate. Like, even from your perspective, saying that you hadn't swam in the sea prior to it.
Yeah.
Also, the sea just being covered in jellyfish.
Yeah.
Like, you've set the bar high in terms of challenges. Like, in terms of always want to push yourself and grow. Like, we've set the bar pretty high on what's going to be above the Celtman kind of thing.
I know.
And watching through the vlog, there's a good few points in it where you can tell that you're pretty broken in it. There's a few points where it's kind of touch and go in terms of you're going to get to the next point. So just wanted to kind of discuss with you on the bike. You were actually on the bike for 9 hours, if I'm right in saying.
The full, like, so that was including stops and stuff as well.
Yeah.
So the section of the bike was 9 hours in like 7 minutes.
Yeah, which is absolutely madness to most people. And when on the bike, mate, and there's a point where you see in the video, you just look like you're absolutely dying. Like, what's going through your head at that point, mate? What's your self-talk like?
So with the bit in the bike, Drew actually said to me, there was a point when I was like punch drunk. Like, I was actually the bit at the end where I was like just lying on the floor, and Joe's like, just a half marathon, mate, you need to do here to get to the point. And I was like, okay. Like, just tell it, okay, I'll get it done. But the bike was the first like 30-40 miles were pretty cruisy, man. And then, like, obviously, like, I didn't have a map on me, and I didn't even use I was just tracking the cycle. But I knew from my bearings, like when I was turning, like, for this, it's a 125 mile loop, so like you kind of know that, right, I'm on this part. And there was a point where I just started to turn, and I was just like, oh, there's a headwind. And it was like, I know you can never track a headwind and it's always going to be there, but I was like, this is on a pretty large segment, and we ended up getting a headwind for about 40 or 50 miles, which is like a 40 or 50 mile cycle on its own is like a big cycle. Do you know what I mean? Going out and doing a 40, 50 minutes is like a big day out. Do you know what I mean? So actually doing that, it was traumatizing me. It was actually like fucking awful, man. I actually just sat there going, why have I done this? Like, what have I done? And it's a very, very overwhelming feeling. And I see it all the time with clients and stuff where they're maybe going through a point, and it's like, imagine like that moment where you're like a rabbit in the headlights, where you realise you've kind of got yourself into. It was like that for like 3 years. like just like, oh no,
it's not like there's a kilometre to go in a race that you just need to talk yourself out of it.
Yeah.
You've got 3 hours of tough going.
And it was the thing that I spoke about it, but I was actually pure swearing and stuff like that at the time, and I went, don't put that in the vlog, mate, because it was like I was pure bad mouthing all the people in the cycle, because I was in pretty good headspace. Like, I was just kind of on my own, doing my own thing, was feeling the pain of it. But then I started speaking to other people who are on the same race as me. They were not in a good headspace. They were like, we're not going to make this. They were like, some of this woman was actually like, I done this last year and I never done it. We might not. And I was like, my bike, like, going like that, like, fucking speak for yourself, man. But that started to have a real effect on me. And we didn't actually put this in the vlog because I was actually cussing them, man. Like, I was like, the point that you see in the vlog where I come in and I'm like pure beat up in the bike and I'm like, I'm eating food, that was right before then. And it was like, I was talking to a couple of folk, and I know they were going through it, and it taught me a valuable lesson. It's like, never take advice from someone you wouldn't switch places with. Well, I'm on this race with all these people who actually I do respect, and I've got like, I've got admiration for them because they've done the work to be there that I've done. So it's very confusing when you're sitting there going, why are these people so dead certain that they're not going to do it? Yet I'm ploughing along. But that's just a testament to where you're at in your headspace and your resilience and your self-talk. But that had a big effect on me, man, because like it really wore me down, and it no longer became, well, I do that. I knew I was going to do it, but it was like, can I do it? That was the big shift. And it was like, I'd never thought in a million years, I was never going to quit. Like, it wasn't like quitting wasn't going to be the option, but it was like, oh man, this has been a big change. And one of the things I say to all you guys when you go and do a hard thing is like, I'm like, go and walk through everything that can go wrong. Like your shoelace bursts, your bike breaks, you have to get, like, what would you do in that situation? And the thing that I never accounted for was like, not being able to hit the times because the wind was so heavy. And then it was almost like it just shifted from this, like, I've done a lot more. I've done a lot of different hard challenges. I've done a 24-hour event. I've done a couple of big like hill runs. I've done an Ironman, 70.3, a lot of different things. And like when I done the first ever Ironman, there was no time on it. It was just like get it done. And like there was a lot of pain, a lot of things I done to dig into it. But this was like actually like mustering up the sort of like, you need to just keep pushing one pedal in front of the other, because if you lose hope, it could genuinely be like, do you know what I mean, like the what's the point mentality? So I was like a new level of like sort of self-talk. It was like self-doubt on steroids, man. Yeah, like big time. So
sometimes you just need to break it down as small as that, like one pedal in front of the other, not like, oh, I've still got 3 hours to go or whatever. And how close were you to missing the checkpoint?
So I got into the cycle, and I actually said in the vlog it was 25 minutes. It was like 40.
Yep.
Because let's see if you see, and like I couldn't remember. Drew was asking me the times, and I said it was 25 minutes. It was like 35 or 40 minutes. I see my watch, so you actually see it. And I was looking at the time of my watch, and it was like 25 past, not 25 to. So I got in with like 35, 40 minutes to spare. But because of how harsh the wind was, I was doing the math based on my current pace. In the last 25 miles, we had a tailwind. Yeah. So like it really carried me, but I just thought it was going to be that all the way around. I didn't realise how harsh the bend was and stuff. So but the thing that kind of got, I was just looking, there was a point where the wind was really bad and it was like straight, and I could actually see I'm on this for about 20 more miles. And it was just like, there was what's it called? The snow, see the things that measure the depth of snow, because we were up quite high. Obviously it was roasting, but like they were there and I was just getting to one. Yeah, that's what I was doing. I was like, just get to that one, just get to that one, just get to that one. And then it's funny, man, there was a guy on a bike, man, and he was from like, I don't actually think he ended up doing it. I don't think he made the run cut off. He done the bike, but then I don't think he got to the second one. But where was he from, man? Like, it was funny, my mum and Joe and that were talking to me. I was like, I just got a pill off an Israeli guy. And it was like, this guy went, do you want a salt tab? And his English was quite broken. And I was like, because we were both like, you could see we were both like, oh man, this is hard. Yeah. And he was looking strong on the bike, and I was just ploughing along, and he was like, do you want a salt tab? And I was like, yeah. And he gave me this in like a plastic bag, and it was like, it looked like for my raving days, man, like it looked like an Eckie or something, man. Like, and I was like, I just took this, but it was just funny. It was just, some of this, the day's just funny. It's just a mad day. Just putting your body through hell, man. It's good.
No, brilliant, mate. And then just to finalise it, you were, what was it? You had to try and get nearly a half marathon up like steep hills within like 2 hours or something. Yeah, like that.
So ended up being, I think it was 18k. And then there was a cut off in there. So I ended up getting to the bike point, and I probably sat and chilled for like 7 or 8 minutes or something. I lay down because I was just like hollowed out, man. I was just like a shell of myself, and I needed to. Like, I wasn't ready. And when I done that, got some food on board, got some water, got changed and stuff, I actually went off quite strong. And I was running with Lewis at that point. You have to have a support runner. Then I was like, mate, we've got loads of time, even if it's 20k, we've got 2 hours and 20 minutes or something. And then we ended up, I think we had 2 hours and 20 or something we set off, and then we got in with like 15 minutes to spare. So I think we done it in like 2 hours or something. Yeah. It was like we'd done the run, and it was really, really like, it was really hilly. Like, there was a big ass hill in the middle of it as well that was like, I couldn't even run up it. Like, I genuinely, I typically on stuff like that will power hike, but like I couldn't run. Like, it was that steep, you just couldn't run. Like, it was like a serious gradient, man. And it just went on like that for like 10 minutes up that, in the middle of like an 18k run that you're trying to do as hard as you can. So
I've done 9 hours on a bike, I know, as well. So it was an incredible achievement. It's interesting what you say there, mate, about you're probably expecting people who are doing that race to be similar to you, in the sense that, I'm just thinking about myself, even times deep into a marathon and you're maybe running next to somebody, most of the time it's like, come on, we can do this, we can push it. Like, and you're saying there that you're speaking to somebody and they're like, you're not going to do it, mate. Like, you don't expect that from people that are in that similar position to you. Like, most people that you think who are going to sign up to the Celtman are going to be in. So that I could imagine that being really.
All those folk done it, by the way. Yeah, they all end up doing it. I was just going through like that. The two folk in particular I was talking about were like, they were just, you could heavy tell, man, like their negative energy was like, it wore me down. Yeah. Because they were going through a hard time. But as one of the things I've definitely found that like yourself, and you're saying, I'm quite good at just being like, sort myself. I don't need affirmation from someone else, or like, I'm just kind of like, I'll be like, I'll do it myself. I'm quite like that way, where I'm like, it is good to get that from other people and stuff as well. But I like these, it definitely does, and it's a clusterfuck for your brain, because you're kind of like, you're questioning it then. Like, if they think that, then why? Like, should I think that or whatever?
Yeah.
So I know.
Exactly, mate. That must have been tough, but unbelievable achievement, mate. Really, really excellent stuff, and the vlog was fantastic. But just wanted to touch a wee bit on sort of pressure. So obviously during that, there was quite a lot of pressure. I think even as coaches, like, we do have quite a lot of pressure on ourselves regularly to show up, to lead from the front, to be an example to members, to clients. But I quite enjoy that pressure. Like, naturally, I would still look after myself, I would train, but having that wee bit of pressure adds that extra element. Like, I do need to lead by example here. People are looking to you for you to be showing them what to do. And then for the Celtman, for example, you've put that out there publicly, that this is what you're going to do.
Yeah.
You've then went to the expense of getting it videoed, vlogged. Like, during that, like, the pressure there, like, what's your, do you enjoy the pressure, mate? Do you feel it's good? Or how do you deal with that?
I think it's good, man. Like, I think it's something I heard that I talk earlier on this year is like, pressure is privilege. And it's like, looking at it, like, because and I spoke to you about this at the start of the year, like, before we were even working together, and we were just talking about like business and stuff, and I was like, if you want to operate big, you need to play bigger. And most of the time you need to be playing just out with the line of what you know.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's almost like when you get bigger and you're able to do more things, the line just becomes a bit bigger, and you just need to keep, like, I mean, sometimes you get it wrong and you step too far, but like, the ledge that you can fall off becomes a lot harder and stuff as well. And that was one of the things. It was like, who do I need to be? That was, I always say this to you guys as well. It's like, who do you need to be in the situation, whether that's something that's happened personally in your life, or you've been presented with a challenge, or maybe you're going through like a transformation journey and you get a pure negative comment for somebody that you actually care about in your life, and it really, really knocks you off your stride. You need to ask yourself, like, who do you need to be in that moment to get by that thing? And the more things that I've done, like, resilience is awareness of your suffering. That's what resilience is. It's like awareness of like, oh, I'm in that place again. I'm in that point where I'm challenged, that I've got this going on, I've got that going on, and see, the more I've done things where I've chose hard, the more you build up that awareness. It doesn't go away. Like, you still get triggered by things. You still get volatile about things. You still get reactive about things. You still get upset about things. But you, like, the thing that I can only explain is the more I've done things like this, the more it's like, it happens, I get the wee trigger, then I kind of just, it's almost like a wee out of body experience, and I go, right, who do you need to be right now? It's weird. I can't explain it. And it's like, the more you do the reps, just like with a muscle, when you train a muscle, it becomes more responsive. Think about like someone doing a bicep curl in their first month of training, right? And then 5 years later, after 5 years of consistent progress and results, that same bicep curl is the exact same rep. It could be the exact same dumbbell, but the actual, how the bicep responds, how it feels, how the mind muscle connection is, the contraction that's generated as a result of all those thousands of reps that you've done in that same profile movement, it's different. So it's like when someone's like, I think I need a better program. It's like, no, I think you need to do the program better. And it's the same with like emotional awareness and resilience. It's like, the more you do, you choose hard, the more you step into that thing, the more you're able to, it doesn't go away.
Yeah.
You just go, going through a bit of a bad spell right now, or a bit unmotivated right now, or that's that thing that triggered, curious, that you just get a bit better at going, that's that thing happening. It's not like you don't have feelings anymore. You're just you're more subject to embracing them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, definitely, mate. And I think, as you say, pressure is a privilege. Like, it does force you to do things, and I think it definitely is a good thing. And taking all that into consideration, everything that you're doing, mate, you're running a business, like, we're taking on crazy challenges. I know you've been abroad in Bali recently, working away. Like, I know you enjoy still going out for dinner, drinks. Like, you've got a lot happening. And I know this is quite a loose term, and when people talk about balance, but what's your sort of biggest advice in terms of balancing all that, mate? How do we still show up in terms of physique, training? How do we balance all this? Because I know, like, I'd say myself, you, like, we've kind of got a good balance, but it's hard, mate. Having a good balance like that is hard. What's your sort of biggest advice around that?
I think the word balance is that it's a very, very loose term, and I spoke to quite a few folk about this, and it's the reason why a lot of people are not clear on who they are, what they want, and what they deem as like success. And I actually spoke about this on Monday, I'm prepping for a photo shoot right now, and to be honest, it's not something that I'm always typically in good shape. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not thick skin shredded year round, right? But like, I'm pulling the trigger a wee bit more and I'm getting a bit leaner, right? And I actually said, like, in every single week, I've been out for at least a meal twice a week. I've been to a wedding. I drank at the weekend there. I drank in the space of 8 weeks. I've had 3 occasions. One was a wedding, which, you know what a wedding's like, quite full scale, but I didn't even really go into it even thinking about, oh, what am I going to do? Obviously, you're a bit more ingrained, but I'm going to achieve a really, really good result, right? And I'm going to do it on my own terms. Now, someone might do that, right? And the reason why so many folk create so much suffering in their own life, because most of the suffering that you experience in your own life is created by your own mind, by the expectations you place on yourself, by the guilt, the shame that you feel for what you should be doing. And the reason when it comes to especially body transformation and your health and fitness, and why a lot of folks struggle with balance, is because they actually struggle with guilt. Yep. Because they don't actually know what it is they want. They're usually basing, like, there's so many folk, man, like, you see it, like, I spoke about this the other day, like, there's this now generation of, like, personal trainers that are actually the fucking opposite of health. They're living a diet that's got, like, no fresh food in their diet at all. They're living off fucking whey protein. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But aye, protein, do you know what I mean? Their cardio is going for a fucking walk in the treadmill. They're not even actually looking after themselves that much. They're talking about cutting and dieting, but they've never actually achieved any of this, right? And they've actually built up this ideology of what they shouldn't do. And they have this way of doing it. And it's so funny when folk even speak to me about, like, oh, like, I thought, like, how you having, is that not an off-plan meal? And it's like, what do you mean an off-plan meal?
Yeah.
Like, it's because these people are usually, and I get it, I know there's a chronological way to do things, but there's more than one way to skin a cat. And it's about having a clear, like, me and you were even talking about this, like, so I know it's a big answer for this, but the thing with balance is you need to do it on the terms for how you want to live your life. So for me, my success metrics are that I love going out for food. I love traveling. I love socialising with people. I actually do value alcohol. I genuinely do. And there's been 3 instances over the past 6 weeks where I've actually drank. One, a lot. One at the weekend, not really, like 6 or 7 beers. And then another one was after an event that you were at as well. And it wasn't mental, but it was like, got last train home and stuff. But for me, it was like, could I be a bit leaner if I didn't do those things? Aye, definitely. Like, circumstantially, obviously, I would be. Technologically, yes. But did I want to do those things? Aye. Yeah. Am I going to get a really good result? Yes. And I'm not just saying this is just about a result, but we're talking about balance here. And the reason why so many folks struggle with it is because they're not actually clear on what it is. And they end up having a lot of junk values, and they end up doing a lot of things, and they think that they have to go out and binge eat every weekend, that they have to go out and get steaming every weekend. It's like, no, that's actually, do you want to actually do that?
Yeah.
How's that making you feel doing that all the time? Do you mean, how can we actually get a bit that actually allows you, like, why are you doing this? Yeah. Do you mean, a lot of folks are just living someone else's narrative, someone else's story, and that's how they end up not. Most folk are like, I was talking about this in Monday's call inside the program, and it was like, so many folk are just miserable because of the expectations they place on themselves. Yeah, they're just living a pure miserable life because they're always moaning about things. They're always unsatisfied. They're always unfulfilled. They're always comparing themselves to other people because they're just not demanding more for themselves, man. Do you know what I mean? They're just not clear on, like, what is it? What do I want to do?
Yeah.
Like, what do I want my week to look like?
And I think you're right, mate, in terms of that acceptance that some people have got in their head that if I'm training for a photo shoot, I need to cut out all alcohol. I need to cut out all dinners out, like, cause that's a narrative, as you said, that, like, that's what's expected. That's what people would cut down for photo shoots do. But realistically, you don't need to do that. Like, if you really do enjoy going out for a beer, going out for food, like, what do you value most there? Can I fit that in while still getting a great result? So it's about just having that acceptance that, yes, I might not be 1% lower body fat, but I'm still going to have that enjoyment of my life, if you know what I mean.
100%. And as well, like, even before this, me and John went for food, and, like, I've ate out. I ate out yesterday, I ate out on Saturday, I ate out on Sunday, and I ate out the day. Like, I've actually ate out 4 times, right? But the bit that no one sees as well is that, like, I was conscious of where I was going today. Yeah. What I ordered, I was aware of it. So it's like, a lot of folks sometimes are like, I want to get that balance. And then they're like, I want to still go out. And it's like, but what do we do in those parts? That, like, that's the bit you need to go and learn and behave, because if you want to live this life where you can actually consume alcohol on a, do you know what I mean, monthly, weekly, bi-weekly basis or whatever, you can freely go out and eat. You also need to go and learn how to be better in those areas to actually learn how to navigate them, because what a lot of folk do is they do these things like a photo shoot or something, they cut them out, they remove them, they get there and it's streamlined, it's effective, but the issue is that when they reintroduce those things, they've got no idea how to balance them.
It's just back to what it was.
Because but then you actually ask them, it's like something for, I've struggled a lot, like with my mum was, there's nothing wrong with this, mum was a feeder. Do you know what I mean? My family were feeders.
Most mums I think are.
I know, and she fed me with love, and then I was like, my dad and my Uncle Jim were like, there's your Uncle Ben and there's your dad, they need to eat more food and stuff. So that I've done a lot of work in myself, in the sense that, like, not saying that I'm going and looking in a mirror and singing Kumbaya, right? I mean, like, I've done a lot of work, it's like I've built a lot of discipline that's allowed me to do that. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, even going out today, like, I would have went even a couple of years ago, even a year ago, I've made improvements from where I was at from the last time I done like a diet. Like, it's a work in progress.
Yeah.
And you, like, that, it's something that takes time to do. You need to do the reps, but the areas that loads of folk are not changing, they're doing this. Like, I had this conversation with a client the other day where I said, I mean, this isn't just about the gym. This is about you actually becoming the person that you want to be, and how you've acted over the past week. You've not done that. So let's cut the shit. Let's not talk about it's just about the gym. This is about that person. So how can we do that? What did you learn from that? Do you know what I mean? It was like it was a great moment and stuff. And I'm mega proud that a client for still turning up, doing the thing in that time. But they're going to then learn it's the behaviors, like how you react to a stressful situation. What happens if you're landed by loads of stuff at work? I had a client a while ago that was just like to me, this happens every year. I'm like, listen to how ridiculous that is. You've actually told yourself that much of a story. You're just letting yourself off of it.
Yeah.
You're just, by telling yourself that, you're actually justifying what you need to do. And then I was like to him, how do you feel after every year, every time you go for this time of year where this needs to happen, where you drink more, you don't exercise and you eat more? How do you feel through that? Not even at the back end of it. How do you feel? See, when you wake up on a Tuesday morning, when you've bevied all weekend, you've overate, you haven't exercised in 2 weeks, how do you feel? And they're like, shite.
Yeah.
I'm like, so why are you doing it?
Yeah. I think as well, you'll see from yourself, like, I'm similar. Like, if you've had maybe a night out, few beers, dinner, whatever, the next day, you're not lying in your bed for 14 hours. I reckon you're in the Lumi, in the garden, getting a walk in, getting some good food back in. It's about doing that, like making small adjustments and learning how to balance it, as you said, not cut everything out for a kind of surface level goal to then just reverse it again. It's about trying to balance all that in, but as you said, mate, it takes time. Yeah,
surface level goals equal surface level results, and that's the bit. It's like no one's diving deep into that point, and it's like, I had a conversation with a client. It's actually doing really well right now. When he came in, I went, you won't want to drink. They were telling me, like, they prided themselves on how much they loved drinking, right? And I genuinely do enjoy drinking. I actually value it. I'm very clear on that, and I talk about it regularly. And it's like, but I was like, look, you're not gonna want to drink as much. But they thought I was probably saying it from like before they actually got to know me and stuff. Or maybe this PT's telling me that I'm not going to want to drink, and I love drinking. And he spoke to me recently. He went, you were absolutely right. You were absolutely. He's like, he's still been to festivals. He's still done things throughout this. But he's like, I realised that I was doing that way more than I needed to, and I was telling myself a story to let myself off with more. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's normal. Again, it's like when you don't really have that deep sense of purpose and fulfillment, and I've been there, like, you can just start to go through the motions and do what everyone else does, and just you end up at a point where you're not really kind of deciding your life, other things that other people are.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They're telling you. It's just, how can you get into that point where it's like you just taking personal responsibility?
Yeah, you decide.
You decide you're in charge. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely. And I think what you touched there on the surface level goals, I think it's important, like, to try and instill into people, and I'll be the same with the members of the program and stuff. Like, this is an identity shift rather than like, oh, I want to shift 2 stone and that's me, I'll be happy. Like, I've got to cut everything out to do this. No, like, we want to actually change who you are, what you're doing, like, to become that person that, like, yeah, okay, we get a result, we lose 2 stone, but we then want to be in a place where you never put that back on again. You're now, like, you're living that kind of life. Yeah,
people hear the word change and they're very offended by it, but I don't want to change. And it's like, They think that change is a thing that comes with, like, because most people have a perception of what fitness is, and it's typically the biggest thing that limits them from going to the next level, from changing identity. And that is the fault of the fitness industry. That's not the fault of that person. That's the fault of the fitness industry. It's the fault of what they've seen, what they've consumed, an amalgamation of all these different things. And that's the biggest thing that holds folk back, because they think it's like this thing that isn't actually going to serve them. And it's almost like I've got to the point where I just can't even fucking understand it when I'm talking to I'm year 7 of doing this, lots of consultations, calls, and I'm kind of like, I'm quite like point blank, like, I don't understand why you're not doing this. Like, I had a call recently with someone that actually told me in the same call that they were going to book a holiday that was like nearly £4,000, but in the same call they were telling me how miserable they were in their life and what they were doing. I mean, and then even looking back at it, they'll be like, there was lots of good things going on. I'm not just saying their life was, but they were telling me that the anxiety they get from not doing the thing or whatever, like, it overwhelms them to the point that, like, it really limits them from reaching their potential. And I was like, your holiday's not going to fix that.
Exactly.
That's not going to fix that. But I know, and like, we're getting a house and stuff, and it's like, if you're not happy in the 4 walls in your head, getting another new 4 walls around it, it's not going to change anything. Do you know what I mean? It's like folk with babies. I'll have a baby. We're going to have kids. It's like, is that really a good idea? Do you know what I mean? And I'm not saying it wouldn't bring you joy, and I'm not saying it's like, but you are the most important person in your life. Strip back the fucking job title, strip back the money that you earn, strip back the car, the house. You're left for yourself, and I think the pandemic really exposed that for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I think it was a great wake-up call for a lot of people, and I think a lot of people as well were like very much so like, the government, they shouldn't do this and they shouldn't do that. As much as we pay tax and everything, right, and as much as I moan about it, right, the government don't fucking owe you anything.
Yeah.
The government don't owe you anything. I know you pay a large amount of money to them, right? And I get that. They don't owe you anything, right? And a lot of folk are always in this entitled mentality, right? If we rewind back hundreds of years ago, that stuff didn't exist. I know it did to an extent, right? And this conversation with Ailey the other day, and it's like, people talk about the shoulds. You should do this, and you should do that, and you should do this. And they're usually basing it on an ideology or story that they've been told. Do you know what I mean? Even with stuff like, folks should be doing this to do this and support this and do that. And it's like, times are changing, man.
Yeah.
Do the thing that's going to keep you in a good spot.
Yeah. Definitely.
Because if you're in a better spot, the folk in your life are going to be around a better spot. And you're going to essentially going to have a better profound impact. If you have kids like yourself, Jordan, like, you're going to be able to actually influence your kids to be better for you being better.
Yeah, definitely. I was actually going to say that earlier. Like, my dad picked up the girls yesterday morning they go to my mum and dad's on a Tuesday, and I asked if my dad could just drop me at the gym on the way. So I go to the gym, and Rosie was like, can I go to the gym when I'm bigger? Like, already, like, that shoes set, like, you're setting a good influence and an example there. And I know there's a lot of things we need to juggle: career, families, social life, and they are all important, but I would always place the highest importance, as you said, on your body and your health. And people might think it's selfish and stuff, but you do need to look at, because what use are you to your job, to your family? Like, if you're ill, or you can't walk the length for yourself, like, what use are you to all the other aspects? As you said, you're going to show up if you're looking after yourself and making sure that you, as you said, the most important person in your life, if you're feeling good, that's good. That's infectious, mate, and that's going to allow you to show up and everybody else to be good. Like, the other areas in your life are not going to be good if you're not.
And there'll be folk that even see snippets of this, little sound bites of it and stuff, and again, the perception thing, they'll be like, they'll unfollow us and they'll go, who do they think they are saying this? Because their perception of what it is that they think we're trying to push, because they see PT next to your name, and that's the biggest limiting thing. It's almost like the thing that you always come up against. You ever notice when you speak to some people in public, or like someone you meet, and then the minute you mention that you're a coach, their tonality changes, what they talk to you about changes. It's almost like it becomes a bit forced as well.
Yeah.
That's the perception, mate.
Yeah.
And it's because, and that's the biggest thing that limits most folk, is the ideology of what it is that they're trying to achieve. And see, for a lot of the time, man, I wrote a post today, and it's like, I said, the reason you're comparing yourself to folk is because you're not working hard enough. Because we don't typically compare ourselves. I don't compare myself to Leonardo DiCaprio when I watch a film with a minute and go, oh man, I wish I was him and I'm not doing good enough, right? Yeah. I compare myself to someone else that's just within an arm's reach of me.
Yeah.
And it's usually when I'm not doing enough of the thing that I know I should do.
Yep.
And that's usually when it comes about. And a lot of folk, that's when snide comments come about. Do you know what the funny thing was, right? See, today I posted that post, went to my Instagram, and I actually had a snide comment from a random that I don't even know on my post, right? About, you weren't even in the military, mate. You were in the Air Force, right? Blah, blah, right? I don't care. I was just kind of laughing at it. And I said to Haley, the irony of the fact that I've read that at the exact same time that I've posted this post about comparison, and what it goes on to say is that typically you get a snide throwaway comment when someone's actually envious, jealous, triggered by what you are doing, and they'll pick holes in it. I thought it was really funny this morning.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Because I was just like, that's actually so ironic that I've posted this post and seen this person do this thing that's like a throwaway comment that I've just said that's when you do it. So do you know what I mean? So someone like that, like, I was in the fucking Paris, man. Who does this wee fanny think he is?
I completely agree.
You know
Unless you're in a spot like that, you're not going to be doing comments like that.
I know.
So, I kind of touched there, mate, on kind of balancing things and like career, business, career, your health, social life. Out of that, as I said, you are an operator, mate. You've got a good balance in things. It's clear to see that. Is there an area, mate, that you feel at the moment you're maybe struggling a wee bit with, or where's an area that you think, right, I need to pick that back up? Because there is going to be times where certain things take a bit more priority.
Switching off, mate. Definitely switching off. Like, and I know, I know you should switch off, right? I fucking love what I do, right? Yeah. Working in the house where I'm at, I really struggle in the evening. Ailey's a coach as well. We love what we do. It can get to the point where it's like sometimes you're like, my brain has not stopped turning at 1,000,000 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So that's why I've got things in place. Like, we're in a position to be fortunate enough to do it because of the business that we have and stuff. Is like to be able to travel more. So for me, traveling is not just about seeing places; it's about actually being in a different environment and although I'll still talk about my work and still, because it's a big part of my identity, I'm not thinking about it the way that I am when I'm sitting at the house on a Tuesday night after a busy day.
Yeah.
So for me, like being in a different environment, and I recently got a membership for a place that had a sauna and a steam room, because I get to go there and just talk to random people in the sauna. like, and I know that sounds, so these are things that I'm doing to work on that, but it's something that, like, I remember when I went to therapy a while ago, about 2 years ago, and I was like, and I went to meditation, and like I was on this path, Jordan, to try and switch off my brain. Very, very quickly I realised that you can't switch off your fucking brain.
No.
Can't do it. It's meant to think. That's the full point of meditation. It's meant to like go bananas, that you're meant to have. So for me, like what's really important in my week to combat this is actually having time where I do think. Like I don't have my phone on me. I go for a walk without my phone. I sit in my wee cold tub every morning. I sit there for 3 minutes. No idea why 3 minutes, by the way. And I just sit there, because for me, that's the biggest thing that I'm probably combating, mate, is like my brain be going 1,000,000 gazillion miles an hour.
Yeah.
I do love it, but at the same time, it's like there is more to life than business as well. I'm very aware of that. And I know it's a big part of what I do, and I love it and stuff. So that's why I was like, we always make sure we travel quite a lot and stuff as well, because I don't really see when I'm in a different environment, mate, and I'm like, me and Ailey are that, like, in the nicest way possible. When I was in Spain recently, I didn't think about any of my clients on WhatsApp, whereas at night time I'm thinking about these things and stuff. Do you know what I mean? So it is good to do that. So that's definitely like what I struggle with. It's like my brain is just like
couldn't agree more, mate. I don't know if it's just being a business owner and loving what you do. I think loving what you do as well is a big thing about it. Like I really struggle to switch off as well. We're actually going first family holiday next month, and it's just something I'm going to definitely be trying hard to do, because you do need it. Like sometimes you don't want to switch off because you do love it, and it's like great, but you do mentally need to sometimes. And
you operate better as well. You operate way better. You actually, it's like I always ask you guys when you go away on holiday and stuff, I'm like, what was your ideas?
Yeah.
What was your big, when you were away there, like what did you think of? Because see, when you unplug, I call it the Matrix. When you unplug yourself in the Matrix and you go into a different space, you see things through a different light. You realise that like you have a lot of conversations and realizations, and you're like, oh, it's quite enlightening, and it makes you, for me anyway, every time I go on a trip, there's always a big breakthrough.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Always. Every single time. Do you know what I mean? And I think a lot of folk, and if you don't really acknowledge that, then there probably isn't going to be. But if you actually think about like if you spend when I went away on holiday, my screen time went from 5.5 hours a day to 40 minutes a day. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
so think about all those hours that you've actually got to
I
think.
know.
To think.
Yeah.
Without
Yeah.
actually looking at something
That was
else.
just my phone, mate.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That was just my
Not your
phone, so
laptop
not my laptop, and I
yeah.
wasn't on that. So it would have went down from probably about 10 hours a day
Yeah. So think about that.
to like fucking 40 minutes. That's a lot of time to think, man, versus what you're usually doing.
Definitely.
So, and it also makes me think, man, like I can't get my head around why someone like 8-hour screen time's becoming a normal thing now.
Yeah, definitely.
And like for folk that aren't even working on their phones, I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, no, my screen time is probably high, but a lot of the time, if I analyse it, a lot of the time would be because I was maybe responded to messages, creating content, doing work stuff. But yeah, even if you don't work from your phone, like a standard person, even that's not working from their phone, still really, really high. But I think it's important, mate, just to have some time of the week where you aren't consuming something, looking at something. Like when I go out a run, typically for like half of it, I will listen to something, whether it's music, podcast, whatever. But then the other half, I'll just like silence, like just go enjoy the run, like look around, and that's when loads of your good ideas come up because you're actually giving yourself a wee bit of a chance to think, exactly like you said.
A shower.
Yeah, shower's another one.
Yeah, no, definitely is, man. But that definitely, like, it's, and like, no, what annoys me, man, is when you talk to folks that aren't in the same world as you or whatever, and they're kind of like, no, you need to switch off. And it's like, why do I need to? But they're saying it almost not again, like a wee snide comment,
yeah.
As if like, because everyone sees the world through a different lens, don't they? Do you know what I mean? And it annoys me, man, when folk are always pushing their agenda on what you should and shouldn't do. That therapist I went to told me something that stuck me. He called it the shoulds.
Yeah.
He says they've got a case of the shoulds.
You should be doing this. You
should be doing that.
Says who, essentially.
Yeah, says who.
And in terms of that, then that's an area where you feel you want to combat. Where are we absolutely dominating right now, mate?
Where am I absolutely dominating? I would just say, like, I'm very confident in who I am, John. I don't really get triggered that much. I still do, like, because I'm just doing the work.
Yeah.
I'm just always doing the thing. And like, as a result of that, like I was thinking about this year, it's probably one, like every year upon year becomes the most consistent I've been. But like, just doing some of the things I've done, I've kind of like, I've got new levels of trust in myself that are like kind of like, aye. And I still like even when I still experience guilt, I still like get like, I was texting Neil the other week celebrating how I didn't get a donut when I was out. I'm still there, no, that retrospect as well. I'm not sitting saying I'm on a high horse here, but like, I just feel like I'm who I say I am. And I just, like, the guy that you sit across from right now is the exact same guy you got before we even started working together. And do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, you can vouch for that. Like,
yeah,
nothing changed. I'm the same guy that I speak to you on a coaching element from. I'm the same guy. Let's see if we were to have beers.
Yeah,
I'm the same guy. Like, I don't change. I'm just the same guy. I might be a little bit more high pitched and energetic at some points when I'm maybe trying to push my point across on social media or something. But I don't really change. I'm just the same. I remember that, like, when we were in Spain at the beginning of the year, I went on a business trip over there for like the mentorship I'm part of, and Stevie was pure drunk. And he's like, slapped my knee and all like that. Mate, you're class. You're just the same guy. He's like, because we'd only known each other in a professional manner. Then I was like, I know. Like, I'm like, I don't change. I'm just the same guy. Like, I might get a little bit more loose if I've had a drink or something. Or like, so I feel like I know who I am. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like it's probably an area that I feel that then just has a really good, I'm good at coaching as a result of that.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's one, definitely. Like, it makes me aware of my self-awareness is probably quite good, mate. Yeah.
Brilliant, mate. Excellent. And then this was a bit of a different one I was going to ask you in terms of, obviously, with ourselves, juggling a lot, doing well in terms of physical challenges, everything like that. Quite often, I'll maybe speak to someone and it's like, oh, I don't think I could do that challenge just now because I don't think I could give it 100%. Or I don't, like, what's your thoughts on that? For me, it really gets to me in terms of like, well, when are you going to be able to give it 100%? Like, I feel like with the amount of like challenges, it doesn't even need to be physically related in terms of a physical challenge. I'm just talking about that because we're fitness coaches, but like taking on a challenge is like, nah, I'm not going to do that now because I don't think I'll give 100% to that, or I don't think I can do it. Like, for me, I'm just like, you need to just start taking these challenges on and then working towards it.
And you don't really, this is something I remember like a few years ago, I invested quite a large sum of money in my business, and the guy that was in the call was like a very good salesman, and I was like, look, I'm getting my house right now. Like, it was like a very busy period. It was the same month that I was just, it's like, man, I think I obviously put a deposit down. We'd done the full house up, and it was a lot of money, right? And like that same month, it was like this large payment, like a 5-figure payment to join this thing, like, and basically no 4-figure payment, yeah, and the not far off a 5,
Yeah.
but and it was like the payment was a lot, and I was like, look, getting my house and that right now, very logical, understanding point. He said, look, mate, see in 3 weeks when you're going to do this, your circumstances are probably going to be different. And he was being serious.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, you might actually be worse off than what you are now. Things might not went to plan, which is then going to change the state of who you are and what your priorities are at that point. So by actually waiting, you might not do this change that you think you want to do.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that's so true. And
yeah, exactly.
Ailey, I've just paid $6,000 to join this, but but they basically were like, and I was like, so true, and like, and it taught me a valuable lesson of like just taking action, and like what doesn't seem right at the time, and you're just kind of like, right, no, this is actually the exact the reason that I think that I don't want to do this is actually the exact reason that I need to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the exact reason that I need to do it, and I like that's definitely like. See, what you want when you're 25 is going to be different to what you want when you're 30. It's going to be different to what you want when you're 35. And then what you want when you're 35 is going to be different to what you want when you're 40. And it's like, you're just like that with folk. Like again, not trying to share too much information, but I actually experienced a bereavement in my family this week. And it was just a reminder that like, life's too short. You know what I mean? I actually seen them today in the funeral parlour, and I've never seen that before in my life. Like, obviously someone passed away, and I was just like, whoa, man, like it actually makes me a bit upset talking about it, but an actual real life, like, reminder that every single person is going to experience that. They're going to be sat in that position, literally sitting there, and it's like, I think we're just so hidden from that. We were actually talking to the funeral directors about that today. It's such a sheltered thing. Yeah. And then folk are just not aware of it, and that's why so many folk are so hurt when it does happen to them or do experience it, because they're not ready for it. Do you know what I mean? They're not ready for that. And I think loads of folk are always just waiting on things, and it's like they don't realise by not doing the thing, this fear of failure, they're actually failing.
Yeah, 100%, mate.
They're actually failing themselves by not doing it. Yeah. And they're like, I don't want to do it in case I fail. Well, you're failing right now.
Yeah. Because as you said, mate, that's powerful stuff in terms of like, that's going to happen to us all one day, and you don't know when. Like, I've seen one of these things that you've got like, it's like a calendar type thing, which like that gives you the average days left in the planet. Like, you scroll it off every day as a reminder to saying like every day means something, and like that's not even guaranteed. The calendar's not guaranteed. It's just giving you an average lifespan, and it's like if you look at it like that, and you're like, well, why would I not just take this on? Things are never going to perfectly align. You're never going to be like, oh yeah, this is it, the perfect time. Things are quiet. Things are this. Like, I'll try and take on that challenge now. That's never going to ever happen. It's about taking action and then adapting with those challenges.
Our minds are really good at like really, really convincing ourselves for the safest route. And people think the safest route is just when it's like you're actually about to do it. It's actually not. Like, think about it. Like, see, when you hear that there's a 1 in 2 chance that we're going to get cancer, right? Most folk just dismiss it because they'll be like, that will happen later on. They have all these wee internal conversations with themselves. And then you actually hear about someone and it's like, have you heard that so-and-so has cancer and they're only 30? And everyone's all shocked by it. Yeah. And it's like, why are you shocked? And then they're then going like that in their mind, oh, well, that's not going to happen to me. Yeah. Me, we could get fucking cancer in the next 6 months, mate. Yeah. And I know that I'm not saying that's you're on like a death sentence if you get that. I know it's very treatable and stuff, but it's like, then it's like you don't know what state your mental state's going to be through. You don't know where you're going to be in your life. Like, imagine over the next year, I experienced a tragic loss in my family that sent me into a downward spiral that made me lose so much trust in myself that I was in a spot where I could potentially be suicidal. I don't know that that's going to happen. Mm-hmm. It's not just walking out and getting hit by a bus, the classic thing that folks say. You do not know what you're going to be presented with. And it's not even dying. It's like, imagine some freak accident where you couldn't walk again.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's not even just not being here.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's how you do it and what you can experience. So for me, it was like, even things like the being able to do things like hard challenges and stuff, it's like, I get to do this.
Yeah, 100%.
I get to do this. I get to experience this. You know what I mean? Me and Ailey were killing ourselves in some interval efforts last night. And we were just talking. She was like, I just get like, she was talking about something she was thinking about. It's went through a really hard time. And then I was just like, I know. They don't get to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
We do.
Yeah. And I think just changing that wording, like
Yeah.
I get to, a lot of people are saying I have to for a lot of
Yeah, I
things
get
that
to
they're
do
doing.
this.
If you change that to I get to actually run fast in interval treadmills, there's probably a guy who's maybe been injured that's looking at you right now going like, I wish I could run in that treadmill like that. So it's just about having that. But we went quite deep there, mate. So I just want to change it a wee bit and just kind of to finish it off in terms of what's next for you, mate. I know you've got a lot coming up in the pipeline.
Yeah, I think for me, mate, it was like, again, just kind of going back to what I was saying this week with some of the things I've experienced this week, it was like just a personal one, man. Like, I don't want to live here.
Yeah.
I just don't want to live here. I've got an online business. My partner's got an online business, and I don't really like living here. So I think for us, it's going to be kind of a bit of what do we want to do next personally. A lot of personal stuff, mate. I've obviously got business things and physical things and stuff, but for me, it was like, even a big reason as to why, like, I've always kind of in the back of my mind put off not going away is because of my parents. I'm really close to my parents. Then it was always like, well, I'd rather not just be a passing ship and see someone for the odd dinner. I'd rather be in places where I could have experiences and memories with them and do you know what I mean? So that's been a big realization for me, and as well, like, so yeah, like that from a personal standpoint is just travel more. We're booking this week. We're going to book Bali again. We love that place, mate. So good. So we're going to go there. Physically, I'm going to say on here, we're going to podium High Rocks. We're going to do it. Me and Ailey are going to try and win High Rocks. We're going to win High Rocks Milan and get a podium finish. And I want to just kind of grow the YouTube channel and stuff with that, because with the Celtman vlog, I couldn't believe the reaction it got. So I'm already thinking about the thumbnail for
the High Rocks
YouTube.
champion.
I won my first High Rocks. So I'm going to focus on that. And then from a business standpoint, I've got I've recently started kind of like expanding the program internally. I've got plans with like Josh and stuff like that as well. But I just want to I want to build a service that's like exceptional, mate. I think it's doing pretty well right now. I mean, you can be the judge of that, man. But I just want to build something that's like, what the fuck? Like, how is that good? Do you know what I mean? Like, I want it to be there. I want it to be like, I really do believe we're one of the best in Scotland at what we do. Definitely up there. I know a few other names as well. And I want it to just be like, just a brand. Do you know what I mean? I want someone to get a tattoo. I said this at the last. I want to get someone to get a ready for anything tattoo. And I say that like being serious as well. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, like that's it. And then I've got a few things in the pipeline stuff next year. But I do just want to, like, the first part of the year has been very physical and business.
Yeah.
And it's probably more physical, to be honest, man. And then probably the last 6 weeks been a big push on like business and things I've been involving and stuff. But I just want to just enjoy being in that sort of the position, man. And obviously, I think when you're a driven person, you build up this level of what you do. Like your standard of what happens on a weekly basis is so high anyway that it pushes the needle forward.
Yeah.
But for that, I've obviously got a few more trips in and stuff. We're going to go to Bali, go to Dubai, we're going to go to Milan in October and stuff. So travel, see the world, and just have more good conversations with folk, man, and do more cool things.
Brilliant, mate. No, that's excellent. I really do like that point. It's not something I've never really thought of, that you would actually probably spend better quality time with your parents by living abroad. By literally, if you flew them out a couple of times a year or whatever, like that, spending a full week for them, for instance.
Probably spend more time with them as
that's
well.
what I was going to say. It's just I've never actually even thought about that. You will hear a lot of people be like, oh, I need to stay here because my parents, whatever. But actually flipping that and saying, oh, I'll actually create better memories and spend more quality time with them if I was actually abroad, which is a strange thing to say.
Yeah. And I'm very grateful. I know we were talking about this very loosely because we're online businesses and stuff, and in a position to do that and stuff. I know you've obviously got Kirsten and she's got a job here and stuff as well, but enjoy the fruits of your labour, man. If you're in a position to do something, man, do you know what I mean? You work hard for what you do, man. I think you can carry a lot of guilt around that as well. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Should I be doing this?
Yeah.
Is this the right thing to do? And it's again, life's too short, man, to, you're not going to fucking remember that at the end, I tell you that, man. Do you know what I mean? You're going to be sitting there going like, oh man, I was so worried about fucking what these other people thought, man. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly, 100%.
You're not going to be saying that, man.
100%. And yeah, mate, well, just to kind of finish up, I had a wee question. So I know that you did the, so we've done the Celtman, we've chatted to that. I remember when I was speaking to you last time, you were also telling me about you did that 1,000 burpee challenge a few years ago. What was harder, mate? What was actually, being truthful, what was harder? Because I remember you saying the burpee challenge.
The burpee challenge was awful, man. Like, I think from a concentration or pain standpoint, man, at the time, and for where I was at, I was still a fit guy then, but oh man, I don't know, mate. I think it's harder to. It was like 1,000 burpees in like 2 hours, and we were trying to do in 2 hours, and then like on the day I was cooked, man. I done like 2 hours and 7 minutes or something, man. But I was hard, man. Just 2 hours of burpees,
I can't imagine that, mate. Honestly,
it was very hard, man. I don't know. It's a good question. I didn't really like. I suppose it's like I would say the Celtman because it was like. It wasn't just a day.
Yeah,
it was fucking a lot of prep and stuff. Like, so psychologically stretched, fatigued, tired, feeling burned out quite a lot regularly and stuff. Like doing a lot of things you don't want to do, but the fucking pain in that and the 1,000 burpees was awful, man. Absolutely awful. But yeah, no, like it's hard. They're different on it. It's like someone going, what's harder, a 5k or a 10k? And you're like, well, how hard are you going to run it? You're going to run it 100% or you're going to run it at 80%? Because if you ran a 10k 8% and a 5k at 100%, it's going to be a hell of a lot harder than the 5k.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So no, it was awful though, man. It was very, very tough, mate.
Good, mate. No, so mate, thanks very much for coming on. It's been a pleasure. Lots of value shared today. Is there anything that you want to finish up with, mate?
I think just tying into the realizations that I've had this week. I think just there was something I actually was thinking. I was like, I know this is quite deep, man, but see if people that you love in your life, just tell them you love them more. Do you know what I mean? Like actually fucking go and spend some good quality time. Go and do that. Go and see the thing you keep saying that you're going to do. Like for us, it was going, oh, we're going to go to Dubai for like a month, and I went, I want to go back to Bali.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like that's where I want to go. But I was going, do the things that you just want to do, because we're so often doing things. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that decision. I know that's just an example there, but I just was like, man, what am I doing? Like, no doing things that are actually right in front of me. So many folk are chasing this bit. Sometimes once I get here and once I do this and once I do that, and I'm actually just embracing like what's right in front of them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like what's right in front of them that is like a fucking arm's reach that they can actually change and they can actually control. Do you know what I mean? So many folk are stressed about what they fucking, something so materialistic, man. Do you know what I mean? It's so stupid. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not actually thinking about what they're doing in the now. So yeah, quite deep.
No, 100%, mate. Couldn't agree more, definitely. But no, thanks a lot for having us on, mate. And
incredible, mate. Thank you.
Cheers.